Rocio, you gotta roll the R's. Come on, right here beside me.
Hello, how are you today?
Hello, I'm alright.
Good. Could you state your name and your state number, please?
Rocio Gutierrez, 657-4085.
So what I want you to start out with, I want you to go back to the day of the crime. I want you to tell me what was going on in your life and what happened on that day of the crime that brought you here today.
So at that time, Odelio was my boyfriend. We were living together, but we had a really bad relationship, where it was domestic wise. There's a lot of infidelity.
Mhm.
Just bad communication. So me and him really didn't get along as a couple. We weren't meant to be.
So what happened that day?
So, he's my husband now. And we had an argument of him drinking, him not coming home on time. And then I had found out on his phone that he was messaging this other girl. So we kind of got into an argument. At that time, I was 9 weeks pregnant. So I told him to leave the house. He left the house, and I was trying to calm myself down, and I decided to take a drive. And I was driving, and then I seen his car parked at a soccer field. And I didn't notice the other person there until like I parked and seen her car. It's the same person that he was messaging with, and so I went up and I was mad, disappointed, I was sad, had all my emotions. When I told him, I'm like, we're done, and he's like laughing, and he's like, okay, he's like, bye. So he turned up the music or the radio. She was in the car with him. I do recognize that I have bad temper, and I hit a husband. And the girl that was with him.
Was there anything you wanted to add to that?
It was really hard for me. My mom kept telling me, just you need to leave him, and I wouldn't listen. But now I think differently. He's no good for me. Never has, and he won't. And that day or the next day, I had a miscarriage due to my actions. And I really don't wish it on anybody. But I take accountability of everything I did. Losing a baby is not an easy thing either. And like I said, it's due to my poor decisions that I made.
How many times have you had a domestic charge against you with the same victim?
This is my first time with the girl that was with my husband. And with my husband, it's like an on and off thing. Oh, it was an on and off thing. I can't remember if it was 2 times with my husband.
So my question for you is, where do you think all your anger stems from? Was it from your childhood, or was it from what would you say it was, if you had to pinpoint it?
I honestly had made bad decisions on the wrong person. My first relationship was abusive, and I didn't. I just got that anger that to me, it seemed at the time okay for me to do. I really don't blame anybody. It's myself, because I knew that I had to take either therapy or something to help me with my behavior.
Okay. How do you deal with your stresses and challenges now?
So I've been going to Dr. Zinzer every week. I've been attending to different classes. There's a class right now that I'm attending, it's called Prison Fellowship. That's at the chapel. I forgave myself, and I needed to forgive myself as well for my bad actions and what I did. I feel more peaceful. Now I think twice before I even respond or say anything. Before, it used to be like a right away thing, like nope. But now, like, I actually try to communicate better with people. Yeah.
Thank you. I have no other questions. I'm gonna turn it over to my colleagues. James?
Yes, hey, thank you, Jesse. How you doing this morning, Mr. Gutierrez?
All right.
Did I say that right?
Yes.
All right, all right. I was challenging myself because I was like looking at it. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna try, but I'm gonna see what she says. And your smile actually brought it out, so that was good. Hey, in listening to you and share, and I see you shared about your first relationship being abusive. Is that correct? Would you say, is it fair to say that you carried some of what you've learned from that relationship into your second relationship that placed you in this situation?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Okay. Um, so in establishing this relationship that I heard you say was unhealthy, wasn't right, you all didn't get along. How long were you in this second relationship where you discovered a lot of those issues of concern?
Honestly, since day one.
Since day one. Okay, okay, okay. And so since this relationship, I heard you say you all still married.
Yes, but I filed for a divorce right now. I think it's best for me, not to be with him anymore. I did file a divorce and it's processed right now.
Okay, okay. And in listening to you and seeing you, are you having a difficulty with that?
With the divorce part,
Yes.
I honestly, it was my choice,
Okay.
getting a
Okay.
divorce. But it's best for both of us.
And so when I hear that, that's why I was asking for a little clarity, because I'm hearing, you know, a little strength behind that in your part to make that split or to, you know, finalize and complete that your direction. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't want to assume you were shaking your head, but I didn't want to assume stuff. So what are you talked about some emotions. And with those emotions, what have you learned there that helps us to understand you being better today than you were prior to being incarcerated?
My anger issues. I know how to control myself better than I used to. I do a lot of venting now. I didn't used to do that, so I just hold that all.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Were you going to say some more? Mm-hmm. Okay. And probably my colleague next will probably talk more about that to kind of help understand that growth and being on the medication. My question, other question would be, have you ever heard of a term called blind rage?
no.
Okay. There's an anger ruler from 0 to 10, and from 0 to 10, if you are like between 7 and 8 and higher, that means your emotions go from 0 to pretty much 100, close to 100, and now you're in that blind rage of anger. For your anger and emotional position, are you quick to be in blind rage, or does it take a little time for you to build up before you display those emotions? Does that make sense?
If I understood it, well, takes longer for me to get mad easily. If I understood that question, right?
So it's a gradual process before you get frustrated or get angry, or there's a buildup, is what I'm hearing you say?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I just was wondering, because when you talked about going into the car, going for a drive, then going to the park, and then discovering the vehicle that, your ex was at, and then being a little bit curious, going to the car, looking through the window, seeing what was confirmed that this was the same person that you saw him texting with, and him carrying on that emotion. Just was wondering your mindset, where you said you've learned some stuff better today than that anger that progressed at that time of what you saw, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yes, it does. I'm sorry,
Oh, okay. Let me ask you this then this way. What are maybe 4 or 5 things that you value today that you didn't value prior to being incarcerated?
I value respect. I love family, my freedom. Success.
She said that was it.
Oh, I thought she said success. I couldn't hear.
Good success.
She did say success.
Oh, my bad.
See, thank you.
Sorry about that.
Thank you. My ears are like sinus. I'm hearing what I hear. So I appreciate you, because I can see it's taking you some time, but you're putting some thought into what you want to share. And at least from my standpoint, I'm appreciative of that. I'm going to conclude my questions for there and turn it over to my colleague.
Thank you, Jane. Renee?
Yeah, Ms. Gutierrez, have you had any issues with substances in the past? Have you used alcohol, drugs, things like that?
No drugs. And alcohol would be only for like special occasions, which is rarely.
Okay, so no alcohol involved with any of this particular crime or incident?
No.
Okay, and then, so what, I understand that you had a domestic with your boyfriend, and then you married said boyfriend, and then had another domestic with married husband. What is your plan with all of that moving forward? You're filing divorce, but are you gonna have anything to do with him moving forward? Where are your plans?
So my plans are. I. Continuing my divorce. I'm not wanting to have contact with my ex. Um, I really don't wanna have contact with him. I wanna be. I wanna live happy. Um. I don't wanna go back to same emotions that I had. Uh. I really wanna be focused on myself. And I'm not in a big hurry of being in a relationship with anybody at the moment.
Okay, do you have children? And it's one with him?
Yes,
And what was your plan with that?
so he has my mom on social media, and I've been asking my mom if he'd be asking for, my first son. He's 2, and he hasn't. Um, he's not really showing that he cares for him or anything. So I still have that, in mind. I'm like, okay, well, he's not caring for his son, not even asking for him. Um, he had this opportunity, the time that I was here, for him to show that he's changed, or that he cares, about our son, and he hasn't. So I made a decision of not for him not having contact with our son at that for right now.
Okay, all right, so your mom has care of your children until you get home?
Yes.
Okay, all right, that concludes my questions. Thank you for answering today.
Thank you, Renee. I have no other questions. James, do you have any follow-up?
No, I don't.
So this is a time, if you want the board to know anything or prepare anything, you got the floor at this time.
I take fully responsibility of my actions. I've learned from mistakes. I know what boundaries are. I didn't used to have boundaries within at all. I myself feel that I've grown a lot. I can communicate better now with people. If something bothers me, I can like talk to them, and then if they get mad or something about it, I'm like, okay, well, and just like leave the situation. I don't just keep going on and on, start arguing with them. It's my responsibility, honestly, to take care of my kids, not my parents, and they shouldn't be going through this. My kids are young. My second daughter, she's autistic, so she needs a little bit more of attention. I feel like I'm the one who should be there for them. Their dads ain't there for them. I'll be a mom and a dad for my kids. My kids don't deserve not to be. They didn't ask to come, to the world, and they don't deserve to not have their mom. And my parents don't deserve it. My dad is the only one working. He works like a lot. He's hardly home. It's like they say you only live once, and I'm really grateful for having my parents and helping me out and be supportive. If I could say that I asked for my victims to accept my apology. I was in the wrong. And sorry, I'm done.
Thank you. I appreciate your statement. So at this time, as the board, we're going to go into deliberation, meaning we're going to make a decision. You can sit back and listen to us. And then after we've made our decision, I'll come back to you and explain, okay?
Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Colleagues, Renee?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna be able to support the department's recommendation today for parole to her parents. On the 40A, there needs to be mental health, substance. She said no substance use, so mental health and medication compliance. And that is all I see.
58 for occasional drink.
Nope.
See no need? Okay.
Mm-mm.
James?
Yes, thank you, Jess. I'm in agreement with my colleague to agree with DOC's position. I can see Ms. Gutierrez. She's proud with a lot of pride from what she's learned. You can feel a sense of embarrassment, but a thankfulness that she has within her family. And she was just talking about her dad and mom and willing to open up their place to allow her a chance if she was granted parole this date. You can also see that her kids are very important to her as she just wants the best for their stages of growth. And I liked how she showed remorse and was apologetic to the victims involved, acknowledging, her faults. It's just tough for a lot of us to do, but her, being transparent, I can feel the sense of toughness of her actions and recognizing that it's her actions and knowing that from what she shared that she has to look forward to better relationships that will be healthy for her journey. Therefore, I too am in support with the 40A with mental health. I think some therapy still would be beneficial with the mental health that can help talk her through relationships with kids, but just relationships that she might want to establish in the future going forward. And then that's all at this point in time.
Thank you, James. Renee? Attorney Degree? I'm sorry, my turn. I think it was a good interview. I like where she realized the fact that she was a stuffer and it comes out bad when it finally all comes out, kind of like the broken pipe syndrome. I'm in agreement with the DOC recommendation of release PGD3 with the 40A mental health and med compliance as well. Okay. All right, Ms. Gutierrez, you heard us deliberate. We are going to release you on parole. We're going to have a couple conditions added in addition to your standard conditions of parole. We're putting the 40A. We want you to show our professional. Okay. Other than that, that's it. We wish you well and take your time. Keep making good decisions and keep talking things through. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck, Ms. Gutierrez.
Good job.
Good luck, Miss Gutierrez. Like, it's a hard name to pronounce. These people they're like children. From the moment that they walk her in, this violent person who is an habitual offender of violence, they're like, oh, come sit down in this chair. And then they're talking to her like she's a child. It is so frustrating to watch these Iowa parole hearings. You know that our full term date is 2033. A judge and a DA felt, you know what? Enough is enough. You need to be locked up until 2033 for her good time date. She's only been incarcerated since September 20th of 2022, less than 2 years. Oh my God. I'm not saying she should have spent that full time locked up, but what I am saying is that I don't know what parole hearing they imagine that they just saw. She did nothing that they just said. James, literally, he goes, her kids are important to her. Really? She did not mention her kids. They had to bring it up at the end of the paroling. Otherwise, I had no idea she had kids. She is prideful. She's remorseful and apologetic. She's transparent, and I can sense she needs better relationship. She could barely even voice that she's done with her husband. It wasn't, yeah, we're getting a divorce. The paperwork's in the mail. It was like, I don't know. Okay. This parole board, they're nuts. They are nuts. You're not here to coddle a child. And here's the thing. There are people who think that spoiling a child is good parenting. No, that's bad parenting. And the same comes to, bro, sorry for the ridiculous analogy, but you have to be tough. You have to be real. You have to make her talk about her crime. She didn't talk about her crime. Do you know what she did when she got to the car? A jury trial, by the way. She had a jury trial. Okay. So a judge was, after she cost the taxpayer money and jury wasted their time and all of that crap. And then they just parole her immediately. So Washington County Attorney General Josh states that 26-year-old is convicted of first degree burglary, a class B felony, and second degree criminal mischief, and DV abuse assault. And they didn't talk about any of that stuff, right? Third or subsequent offense, they only spoke about 2. So yeah, like I said, on October 2020, she and her boyfriend had a verbal argument at their home. Afterwards, the boyfriend left and met with the female friend. The boyfriend was sitting in the passenger seat of the female's friend's car in the parking lot when Gutierrez parked her SUV. I'm sorry, now I did mispronounce it. Gutierrez and her blah 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 blah, and her friend were sitting in the passenger when she parked the SUV behind the female's car. She then forcibly removed her boyfriend. Is that a scary thought? From the car and assaulted him. Then went inside of the female's car and assaulted her, causing injury. She then got into her SUV. Like, this is not psycho. Okay. And by the way, and she's had more than 3 recorded felonies for domestic violence. She goes into her SUV and she used it to ram the female's car, causing nearly $6,000 in damages. Now, evidence was pulled from Facebook and TikTok, which I wish I could find it, and it was used at trial to illustrate the defendant's aggressive nature. Gish notes that under Iowa law, burglary includes more than just theft and can occur when there's an assault inside a vehicle or a home. And and they said, you know what, we're going to throw the book. You know, what's confusing again about this is that they use the term boyfriend here, and this happened 2020. She was sentenced in 2022, and I wonder if she got married to him in the meantime. They don't even bring that up. And this parole board, they are psychotic. I keep using the word psychotic, and that's not fair, but they are utterly useless. And it's hard to watch these parole hearings because, you know, it's like interesting when you have to explain it to somebody, but it's like, I don't even think maybe they're in the 1%. So you saying that 99% of people that watch this, after they hear what this person does and they see the parole hearing and how weak it was and how opposite it was of everything that they just said, remorseful, proud, apologetic, transparent? What are you talking about? There was nothing. They even try to put words in her mouth. Is it fair to say that you carried from your first relationship into their second relationship the violence? Like blaming it on them, not her. She's not the problem. And she's like thinking, like, she's thinking in her head, like, no, that's not at all what happened. But sure, I'll agree with you if that's what you want to say. She's like, yeah. And you're like, oh yes, wow, we're so smart. They're pathetic. Let me go through her record that Sir Richard found. It's long. It is long. She has not been able to stay out of trouble. And I mean, as soon as she's, I think, at the age of 18 is when they start recording it. So let's see, 2014, she has driving with suspended license. And remember, that's an arrest. That's not like a ticket. She got a sentence 30 days, suspended after 23. So that means she spent 7 days in jail if they suspended after 20. That would be my guess. Now, arrested on 6/2/2014. That's her first DV. Okay, 2014. And that's, again, arrested. You don't get arrested on your first DV. She has arrested on 6/8/2015, failure to yield upon a throughway. Arrested on 4/4/2016, driving while license revoked. They don't even bring that up. They don't even bring up, do you have a valid license? Should we maybe set a code? Let's do code 36G, double G. Like, they use their codes. They think they're so clever with their codes. They don't even look at how she has it. She's an habitual driving without a license. So 4/4/2016, driving without a license. We're gonna see more of that. Don't worry. Also speeding on the same date and failure to prove and driving without insurance. Okay. Then she has her next DV, 8/22/2016, DV second offense. And this is not a normal DV. It's DV abuse, assault, injury, or mental illness. I don't know what that means. They're abusing someone. Who's that? And of course, she got deferred judgment, probation, which of course was revoked. Arrested on 8/22/2016, interference with official acts. Arrested on 3/27/2017. Wow, who would have thought, driving with a suspended license again? 3/20/2017, open container. Driving with an open container, but no, she doesn't have a drinking problem. 3/27/2017, another DV charge. 11/16/2020, that's the first degree burglary, criminal mischief, and another DV charge. That's the offense that she's. No, that's 2020. Okay, right. Oh, so she gets the guilty by jury in 2022 for the DB. But okay, so 11/16/2020, she has the burglary, criminal mischief, and DV, but she keeps going because she's out on bond or whatever. So 11/30/2020. So 14 days after that, she gets again driving with suspended license and without insurance. She's dangerous. 8/30/2021 again. Oh, 8/30/2021, she gets an assault on a person. She pled guilty to that on 3/21/2023. She pled guilty to the assault on a person a year after being found guilty by a jury. So that was just a pending charge, okay? Wow. On that same date, she had driving with a suspended license again. No, but she's great. She's transparent. She has, only two. She's carried this from prior relationships. This now with this information in your hands, do you think the board did a good job releasing her? Do you think that she's going to do well out there? They're just nuts. Now, this is what, if you want to learn a little bit more about the problem that they have in Iowa, this DA said it best. Thank you, Sir Richard, for pulling it up. And he references this case. So Attorney General Josh Gist has called for reforms to lengthen actual prison sentences for convicted criminals in light of recently announced term of 2 people convicted of Washington County. Our friend over here was found guilty in May of first-degree burglary, second-degree criminal mischief, and a third or subsequent offense of DV. At sentencing, she was sentenced up to 25 years in prison. But like Utah, it's a gimmick. In April, was convicted of 2 counts of the bring. Both were unlikely to serve the terms in their entirety, according to the state's attorney. And little did he know that she would actually be out on parole within 2 years of that sentencing date. But he actually did know. So it's wrong for me to say little did you know. Watch what he says. Based on the most recent data from the Iowa Board of Parole on true prison sentences, the average actual prison sentence of burglary in the first degree is 42 months. A new release from the office based on data of the Iowa Board of Parole will likely serve about 1 year in prison. On the money. In that news release, he called for reforms to lengthen functional prison sentences. In Iowa, getting a defendant sent to prison is tough to do, he said. Even when my office is successful in arguing for prison, the length of sentence is very misleading. Crime is rising statewide, and I do not think letting violent offenders and drug dealers serve 5 to 10% of prison sentences is helping. It's not helping. I hope to work with local legislators in pursuit of improvement. And I think that I wonder if it's a black hole. Well, let's just say how brilliantly he put this, right? And how on the money he is and how accurate and how we see it firsthand. And it doesn't help her. She is not ready to be out. People need more time. It does not benefit anybody. If you don't think we're going to see her revoked, you're living in La La Land. And this parole board is dangerous. They really are. And man, it's gonna be. I hope that this Mr. DA sees this YouTube and maybe pulls it up, and some legislators in Iowa will be like, "Wow, look at the buck stops at this dangerous parole board. If they had a parole board with a little bit of common sense, it might not be so bad." And that's the interesting thing. I wonder if people even know to look at the parole board. I don't know. Anyways, thank you, Sir Richard. And with that, I'll let you go.
And I hit a husband. And and the girl that was with him.
Was there anything you wanted to add to that?
It was really hard for me. My mom kept telling me just you need to leave him, and I wouldn't listen. But now I think differently.
And I liked how she showed remorse and was apologetic to the victims involved, acknowledging, her faults